earlier days you had something like an address book wherein you write your friend's name, phone number and his email address. So you actually write it on your notepad or your address book. Now consider that your address book is a class. So what does your address book has? Address book has a number of pages, but we will ignore the pages for now. But address book has the flexibility to enter a name, a phone number and also an email address. But ideally address book is a logical entity, because without entering anything the address book does not exist at all. So the logical entity is called as class. The logical entity is called as class, and if you are writing my address or if you are writing your address, Howard's phone number and Howard's email address. So whenever you are writing your phone number and email address, that is called as an object. So if you had been seeing the blueprints, so for example if you see a building, the building's plan will be displayed on a paper. So the blueprint of the building or blueprint of some operation what you want to do is a class. And the real entity, like the house that is already, the house that is built based on a blueprint is called an object. Because you will have only one blueprint. If you consider a two bedroom apartment, you will have only one blueprint for 20 or 30 similar kind of apartments. But each apartment is again a different entity for you after building it. So the 30 different apartments are objects and one blueprint. And now consider that the class has variables. In the similar example, we consider that the blueprint of your 2-bedroom apartment has 2 bedrooms and 1 kitchen. So again, you are only defining them in the class, saying that this is the blueprint of my 2-bedroom apartment. This has to have 2 bedrooms, 1 kitchen and 1 hall. But when you are actually building it with respect to objects, each object is different, and each 2-bedroom apartment as well as each 2 bedrooms and the hall and the kitchen in each of the apartment are different from each other. So in this class we will actually talk about object orientation, and we will also talk about objects and classes, and we will also talk about, if time permits, we will talk about encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. So now this is the basic repetition of the class. That is, if you do not have Java, if you have Java installed on your machine, this is how you execute your code, but this can be happily ignored because we are executing our Java through Eclipse. Now what is an object orientation? We actually, in Java or in C++, we will talk, we will communicate and we will execute through objects. So objects has something called as a state and behavior. So the state is something like the variables of the class. The behavior is something like the methods of the class. Now we will take the first example called the address book. Your address book has 3 variables, that is your name, email address and phone number. And also assume that your address book has 3 methods. On calling that methods, your values of the variables gets displayed. So the state is called the object state of the variables. So initially the variables are null. So whenever you are declaring any variable in the class, the initial value of the variable is a default value. Only when you create and enter data into those elements, those variables will have some values. For example, in my address book class, I have int phone number, string email address and string address. Only after creating an object called Howard, I can write or I can update the phone number to your phone number, email address to your email address and address to your address. So as long as the object is not created, the value of the variables is default. And also the methods. Methods are something like behaviors. So assume that you have a method called print phone number. So the print phone number will print the phone number of the variable, and the variable has to have some data. So only if you create your object and assign some value to the variable, after that you can print something. Without that you will not be able to print anything. Now we will have something called a particular bank account. See, you consider a bank account that will have an account number, that will have current balance, and you can deposit into that account, and also you can withdraw from that account. Account number and current balance are your variables, and depositing and withdrawing are your methods. Now as I discussed, I told you, classes provide the structure for objects, structure or the blueprint for objects. The class also will define the methods and types of data associated with that object. in the address book example, you have one integer variable to hold your phone number, you have one string variable to hold your email address, you also have one more string variable to hold your email address. So that is how the class will define what kind of variables your object can actually save. So whenever you are creating an object from the class, that is called instantiation, and object is called an instance of a class. Because my 2 BHK apartment is the instant of the blueprint. Your 2 BHK apartment is also instance of the blueprint. But this is Sandy's home, but that is Howard's home. The object is different. In the above example, this account class will have account number, balance, deposit, withdraw. So this class can be invoked. This class can be true for your account number also, because your bank account will also have one account number. That will also have current balance. You can deposit, you can withdraw. I will also have a bank account. I will have an account number. I will have a balance. I can also deposit, I can also withdraw. So the class is same, but whenever you are creating objects, they are entirely different. So this is how you declare a class. We have something called as an access modifier. The modifier there, class and the class name. And then you declare the attributes. Attributes are like variables. And you also declare the constructor. What is the constructor? We will come to it now. And you also declare the methods. Now we have declared a class here. I'll open my Eclipse. We have declared a class called book here, and I have declared a variable called book name. I have declared a constructor called public book string of name, and I have declared one more method called get book name. Now we'll talk about what's a constructor is actually. Okay, now here we are actually writing a different method, not the one with the constructor. We'll come to it later in some time. But I have defined a class called public class book, and I have declared a variable called private string book name, and I have written a method called public void set book name, and this is actually taking a variable of string, and the passed value called name is being set to the variable called book name here. And I have one more method called get book name that is returning a value called string, and that is returning the book name value that is here. The variable. You can ignore this for now. I'm creating an object like this. Book B is equal to new book. This is how you actually create an object. Class name space variable name is equal to new and class name. So what does this book open braces will do is that will invoke the default constructor of the class. So what does the constructor do is, default constructor is something like this. You have the class name, and it will take no variables. It has nothing in the body of the code. You can even delete this. Still there is no error. Whenever you are creating a class book, public class book, so whatever I have deleted here just now a while ago, this is being created by the compiler on itself. We cannot see it, but this will gets created automatically. And what this will do is, this constructor will actually invoke will tell the JVM that there is a variable called P, and that is created for a class called book. And it also tells to JVM that book has a string variable called book name. That book class will also have two methods called set book name and get book name. So as and when this statement is invoked, like book B is equal to new book, the variable B has the address of the object that holds all these values. Whenever you are creating book B is equal to new book, the JVM will create the memory for all the kinds of variables that are in the class. I have one string variable and two methods. It will create some memory, and it will place all these things in those chunks of data, chunks of memory, and it will actually give the address location to the variable called B. Without actually having stored your functions or variables in some part of your memory, you cannot actually go and invoke them, right?
Yeah.
Are you following me, or do you have any confusion with this? Consider C language or Java. You have a variable called X, and you are actually assigning X is equal to 10, and then you are printing the value of X onto your console. So how will the system knows that X is equal to 10 is the value? How it will know means, whenever you are declaring a variable called X, that X will be stored in some default location, and X is equal to 10, you are actually initializing the value of X is equal to 10, the 10 will be stored in the address location in memory. So whenever you are trying to print it out, the address location's value is invoked and it's got printed on the console. In the same way, whenever you are creating an object to the class, there is some address location wherein all the class level variables and methods are stored, so that you can actually invoke them by using the method. This statement itself will actually create all the data, all the memory, and it will save everything that you want. And I'm actually here declaring a string variable, string k, actually calling a method name called, the method name will be called like this. Whenever you create an object for a class, if I have b dot, the method names that can be called gets displayed over here. Like b dot book name, b dot, the method name is set book name. I'll call set book name, I can call it. If you see that below, it is like that. You can call the set book name method, and I'm setting the book name to Java. And again, as I declared a variable called k, I am taking the value from get book name into k, and I am printing the value of k. So whenever I run this code, Java is getting printed over here.
Yeah, Java, yeah.
So what happens is, when as I created the object, the memory is allocated to all the different objects and methods. And when I am calling b.setBookName, the value called Java is gone to this function, and the book name variable is stored somewhere in the memory. So the book name variable is being saved with the value called Java over here.
Yeah.
And when I am calling getBookName, again the compiler will go to the memory location where the book name is saved, and it will come and assign it to k. So k will again have its own memory location, and that k will also hold the value called Java. And system.out.println will print the value of k. So here I am actually calling the getBookName before even I am setting the book name to Java. So it will go and get the value of the book name. Ideally the book name value hold nothing. So the default value of the string is null. So null gets printed over there. So now, as we discussed about constructor, the constructor will not have any return type. Okay?
Yeah.
See, this method has some return type called void. This method has some return type called string. But constructor will not have any return type. And constructor's name and the class name is one and the same. So now we will actually overload the constructor, or we will actually call this as a parameterized constructor. Now actually what does this constructor means is, whenever I am actually calling this function called, whenever I am actually creating an object for class book, I am actually initializing the value of book name to the value which I am setting over here. So I need not call this set book name. As and when I invoke this object, the value gets saved. Now if I run it as Java application, you will see Java displayed twice. I mean, I have Java displayed directly because I have called the function twice. So as and when you create the object, what happens is the constructor will do the same thing. It will again create the memory and it will point to B, whatever the default constructor will do. But as this constructor is parameterized, it will also set, it will call the constructor over here. And apart from doing the memory allocation, etc., it will also do the operations whatever are listed over here. Okay. So in this, I have listed only one operation saying that I am setting the book name value to the name which I am setting from here. Yeah. So directly it will be setting to here. And whenever I am printing, as I am printing twice, it is getting printed twice. That's all. Okay. So this is the function that talks about the parameterized constructor. And this is how actually you declare an object. Book B is equal to new book. And the variable B, as I told you, is not an object, but it contains the address of an object. So the address of an object is address of everything, like all the class defined variables and methods. Now, the object reference actually holds the memory address of the object. And if I am using the book, new book is equal to new book of name. That is, if I am using a parameterized constructor, then there should be a parameterized constructor defined in the class. So as we discussed here, if I am calling with this string book B is equal to new book of open and close empty brackets, I need not declare my default constructor in my class. But if I am actually overriding my constructor, then I have to declare the same kind of constructor. That is, I am actually overriding the object creation by sending one variable here. So there should be a constructor in the class which takes one variable, and I'm setting one string variable. That's the reason why a constructor is written by accepting one variable. How do you know it is a constructor? Because the name of the method and name of the class is same. That's a constructor. How do we declare constructor? The modifier is the public, private, default and protected, and again the class name and parameters. So the constructor actually initializes an instance of a class, and name of the constructor must always be same as the class name, and constructors will not have any return values and are not inherited. So what is meant by inheritance? We will talk about it later, but for now constructors will not have any return values. Get name or set name, my get name has a return type as string, my set name has a return type of void, but the constructors will not have any return type.
Yeah.
Now this is another method or another example of a class which has a constructor called customer, which is taking the input as a string, and again it is pointing the value to the string variable that is declared in the class. There is always at least one constructor in every class. So if you are not supplying any constructor, the default constructor will be automatically applied in the class. As I mentioned to you, the default constructor will not have any arguments or any body. Does not exist for us, but it exists for the set of objects with the same behavior is a class. So book can be a class, but Java book cannot be a class. Java book is an object of book called Java book is an object of a class called book.
Yeah.
So whatever you define in the class, like the variables and methods, are not for class or for objects.
Okay.
So as I mentioned with you, a class is actually called as a blueprint of an object. It tells the JVM what kind of object it should create. So if you, for example, your address book is your class, one entry into the address book is called an object.
Yeah.
So how do you declare the variables in the class? That is again modifier, the type of the variable and the variable name. So modifier can be public, private, protected and default. And type can be your data type, integer, character, float, string, etc. The name of the variable is the name of the variable that you wanted to actually keep.
Okay.
Now again, a class method typically contains the code that manipulates an object state. For example, in the above example, like the book name, there is an object called a variable called string name, and you are actually manipulating the value and setting it to Java. So you have methods that will actually do something with the variables of the class. So you have methods with the following syntax. You have the return type, you have the method name, you have the parameters list, and you have the statements list. A method can take up from 0 to any number of parameters. For example, a method may contain local declarations as well as executable statements. So with respect to local declarations, so in this method, so consider this constructor is your method. Constructor is also called as a method. I have declared a string called h. That is a local variable. So the life of the value, the life of the variable h will start from here and will end here. So that is the value, that is called local variables. So if I run it now, I will get ABC Java. And variables declared locally can only be used locally. So the return type is actually indicates saying that is the type of the value that can return to the calling function. And if a method is not returning anything, then that should be given with void. So Java is very strict in that. For example, if you are actually specifying a method that will return a string, then you need to have a return statement that will return a string. Instead, if you write a return integer, it will give you an error. And if you declare a method which doesn't return anything, that is, if you declare a method with void, you cannot write return statement in that method. So if you write some return type, then you need to write return method for sure. and the return method type and the type that you have declared on the class name should also match.
Yeah.
So for example, here I have written public string get book name. Now I am returning book name. Instead, if I return 1, this will give an error. Type mismatch. Cannot convert from integer to string.
Okay.
So this is how Java does. If you are declaring something there, you have to give it. So now I am changing the return type. I'll give an int. So now it will give an error saying that cannot convert from string to integer. So you have to specify whatever you want to return correctly. So a method or any function can accept from 0 to n number of parameters.
Right.
And each parameter in the parameter list should be specified by the type and also the name of the variable. That is, if your method is accepting 2 variables which are 2 strings, you have to give string A, string B. You cannot just write A, B. And the parameters in the method definition are called formal parameters, and the parameters that you are actually passing are called the actual parameters. So assume that you have a function called add of integer A, integer B, and you have written all the functionality of the add method in your function. So the add of integer A, integer B are called the formal parameters because those are used while you are defining your method.
Okay.
But when you are calling them calling the add method, like call add 5, 6, the 5, 6 are called the actual parameters. Because assume this, you are calling some function called add and you want to add 2 variables. So whatever you want to add are called actual parameters. You want to add 5, 6. That is the reason why they are actual parameters. Instead, you want to add x, y. In that case also, what you ideally want to add becomes the actual parameters, and what you have actually defined initially while writing the function are called formal parameters. So now this is the example which we have written very first. That is, we have written a public class book, public string book name, the set book name and get book name methods. So here this is how we use the dot convention. If I am using b dot set book name, only b dot will actually help me to invoke all the methods of the class. Because b is an object of the class, b dot will help me to invoke the methods of the class. Like b dot set book name method, I am calling it and I am setting the variable to Java ABC. And b dot book ID, if there is a variable called book ID in my class, I am actually setting that value to 1, 2, 3 by using object dot. Now there is something called as garbage collection. That is, you have introduced or you have created n number of objects in your class and in your methods, and you have used few, you haven't used few. But after your program execution, everything is directly killed. Java has automatic garbage collection. But in C language or in other languages, you have to actually kill the objects after you complete your program execution. If not, they reside in your RAM. But Java has automatic garbage collection, that is after your program execution, the objects that you create will automatically take. This is just like an interview question wherein Java has an automatic garbage collection. That is what you wanted to, you have to know. Now in this example, there is a keyword called this. So what does this mean? This means that I'm actually, if in the public set book name method, I'm actually passing a variable called string book name, and my class also has a variable called book name. So if I write book name is equal to book name, the compiler gets confused, and also you and I, while seeing the code, we get confused saying that what does this mean? Book name is equal to book name. So what is the value you are setting to what? So if you write actually this dot book name, that specifies that this keyword specifies the variables that are part of the class. So as book name is part of the class book, this dot book name will specify to the private string book name variable, not the variable in the method. Book name is my variable, and public set book name is my method. Here there are 2 parameters with the same name, that is book name and book name.
Yeah.
So in order to not to confuse the compiler or humans, we will actually use this. This specifies the class what we are here talking about. So this means book class. This dot book name will specify to the variable book name in the class, not the variable in the method. So that is why this is used. So there are a couple of things. I mean, there are something called as an access modifiers. So there are the access modifiers are something like public, private, default, and protected. Okay, before going there, if you have a project in your Java, you will also have multiple packages in your Java for your project. Because if I am creating a framework, I will actually create a project called Selenium, or if my application is Air India, I will actually create a project called Air India. That project has multiple packages. So one package can have all the methods that can be performed on a text box. One package can have all the methods that can be performed on a list box. One package can have all the reporting functions that are actually used, like HTML report functions. So I should have the flexibility to use the reporting functions everywhere in my project, because reporting is used everywhere. So how do I do that? I actually declare a public class and public methods for that class, so that I can create an object for that public class anywhere in my project. So this is what you have to understand. We have a project which has multiple packages. So if your class is a public class, you can create an object for the public class anywhere in your project. That is, in any of the package, you can create an object for that class. But if your class is a default class, you can only create object for that class only in that package. You cannot create object for that class outside the package. Private and protected classes in Java does not exist. We have only public and default classes in Java. Now we have a couple of things called, we have spoken about class. Now we have something called variables. So as I just mentioned, the class in Java can either be public or default. The private class and the protected class does not exist in Java. And we will have variables. The book name, the account number, etc., are all the variables.
Yep.
So the variables can be public, private, default, and protected. So if your variable is public, you can actually use that variable anywhere in the package after creating an object for the class in which the variable is declared. You have understood, right, the convention. You can use the variable of the class only if you create an object for the class. So if your class is public and your variable is public, you can use that variable anywhere in the project. But if your class is public and your variable is default, you can only use that variable only in the package. Still you can create an object of the class in an entire project. You can only use the variable only in the package. And for now, assume that default and protected are same. There is a slightest difference that will come to it later, but protected and default are same. Now if you declare variable as private, the variable can only be used inside the class. Outside the class, you cannot use the variable. Same case with methods and constructors. If the method is public, you can use anywhere in your complete package or in your entire project. Again, if it is default, you have to only use in your package. If it is private, you have to only use in your class. Outside the class also, you cannot use it. We will see a small example. So, for example, this is my class. Okay, this is my public class book, and I have a variable called private string book name, public string author name. Now I have one more class Java book. Okay, in this I am actually creating an object for the class book. Book B is equal to, assume I don't have to do this ideally. I'll write this main function here. I'll comment out everything for now. Now I'm creating an object for book. Book B is equal to new
book name.
book of Java net something. Yeah, this doesn't give me any error so far. Now, as B is an object of the class book, I should be able to invoke everything of book, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll write B dot. You see that I have author name, but I do not have the variable called book name here.
No.
Because that is private, I cannot use outside the class. Now I'll change this to private. Now if I do B dot, I don't even have the author name now.
No.
Because the private variables can only be accessed inside the class. Outside the class, you cannot do that. You cannot invoke. Same case with methods also. So if I am doing this as, ideally all methods are public. So if I declare this private, and if I declare this private, the constructor private, I will not be able to create an object. The error it is giving is change visibility of the book to default. If not, it doesn't work. Remove this. This is default. Now this is valid.
Yeah.
So that is all about the access modifiers. So the private members declared private are accessible only inside the class.
Yeah.
Members declared with no access modifiers are accessible in the class itself and also accessible in the package.
Yeah.
So no access modifiers is something like as a default access modifier. And protected members declared are again accessible in the class and also in the package. There is one small difference. I'll explain it to you in some time. And public is declared can be accessed anywhere. Default is again like protected. Default can be accessed only inside your package. So protected and default are all same. So assume that you have a protected variable and you also have a default variable. So there is something called as an inheritance. Inheritance is class book extends class library. Assume that.
Okay.
So your library is the main class, parent class, and your book is the child class here. So if your library is in package 1 and your book is in package 2, in that scenario, the protected variables of the library class can be invoked in the other package. If the parent is in package 1 and the child is in package 2, and your parent has private variables, your parent has public variables, your parent has default variables, and your parent has protected variables. What you can do is the public variables of your parent can be used anywhere in the project. The private variables of the parent can only be used in the parent class. Default variables of all the parent can only be used in the package A, but the protected variables of the parent A can also be used in package B because the package B has a child to the parent. So that is the only difference between default and protected. That is, only if the child class resides in other package, it will have the ability to invoke the protected variables and methods. If not, they are both the same.